as we're moving into this new astrological new year, it really is going to be the way that we make it. We could look at this upcoming eclipse and be totally overwhelmed by the energy and think like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen from that? Or we could choose to see it in an exciting way. And we could choose to say like, wow, it's going to be a really profound time. And I know it's only going to be of benefit to me one way or another. So let's see how this goes. So it's all a matter of reframing our thoughts and choosing a perspective that highlights what we can gain from something, like how it can be of our benefit, rather than seeing it in a more negative way.
So it's written right on my board, and I say it, and if you're listening and you've listened before, you've heard it before. Are you excited for the opportunity or fearful of the experience, right? You
Oh,
have a
yeah.
choice. You have a choice to see it either way because the experience isn't labeled exciting or scary. You label the experience exciting or scary.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Authentic Conversations. If this is your first time joining us, then welcome. And if you are a repeated guest, like our repeated guest today, then welcome back. I am Amarelis, and I am joining today with our lovely co-host, Susan, and our guest of today, Chrysanthe. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here with you ladies, and we're going to have a great time.
Chrysanthe is back. So Chrysanthe is our astrology gal, right? She uncovers or discovers secrets in the stars. There's so much of who we are, right? So if we're made from stardust, like let's be real, right? Everything in the universe is created from the ethers. So we're created from the stardust that creates the planet and all of the living things on it. So it would make sense that our sun signs and moon signs and star signs would be unique to who we are. So energy, astrology is energy. And there are different energies that happen during different decades, during different calendar years, during different month cycles, right? So we're all energy. So Chrysanthe's going to help us unpack a little bit more of that. She has joined us once before and talked about, just like birth charts and how to read, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that was so perfectly said, Sue. And interestingly enough, I think it's been just about a year since the first time I joined. I believe it was last March, probably right around this time, maybe a week difference or so. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so energetically the call came and you're back. So whoever made the call, I don't know. Amaryllis, maybe you made the call.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more. Amaryllis, what are your thoughts on Chrysanthe's expertise and how we want to share the message today?
So, one beautiful gift that Chrysanthe has been given to Authentic Conversation is her time, because for us, we understand how time is so valuable. Um, so, we don't take that for granted. Chrysanthe, again, Susan and I thank you that you have been meeting with me. We've decided from the same energy that's happening today, a year ago. I went back to look at it, and we will tag that video for our fans to go back and listen and watch the way that however you watch our show. And it just, when you just go with the flow. And we were going to do a new moon energy reading. We have been doing this calling to just meet up and do either a 10-minute TikTok video. These are on our TikTok channel for our followers on Authentic Conversations. And Chrysanthe and I just get together and just talk about each new moon or full moon or what energy is happening, because it's so important. It's something that we talk about a lot, Susan, on our podcast, right? Aligning ourselves. And the last time Chrysanthe was with us, she guided us through our blueprint with our time zone when we were born, and how, of course, the one that we all know, which is the Chrysanthe, please remind me, what is that? Is that our star energy or sun energy? We're like, I'm a Cancer. Is that correct?
Yeah. So most people know it by their sun sign. So that's the sign that we think of when we think of our zodiac sign.
Okay. So we went in and we have a beautiful podcast that everyone can watch where she explains, because that is what Chrysanthe does.
Mhm.
And then she has guided us on our monthly videos. So the new moon didn't happen, and we always know that things happen for a reason. So here we are.
Yes.
So here we are. So we all know that there's a horoscope, there's an there's a piece of astrology that we can connect with,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What I would love to talk about, because they can go back and hear, some of the things that we talked about last time, which is great. But what I would like to explore today are some of the more obscure things to pay attention to. So, moon cycles and body cycles, and even, when you talk about historical cycles and patterns, like things tend to be on repeat. How do the stars help us kind of see the writing on the wall or better understand what's happening in the world?
Well, for one thing is there's always celestial activity that's going on. So at any point in time, there is something that's going on cosmically that we can say may influence us here on Earth. Because as you so eloquently put before, we are created of stardust. We are the cosmos. We are having this human experience. However, we're not isolated from the cosmos. We're not separate. So what's happening cosmically can also influence us. And so when we think about that and we know that change is always happening, right? So change is always happening on Earth and change is always happening cosmically. So as the celestial beings are having their own experiences and phases and different alignments, you could say, that is also channeled here on Earth, and we're also getting to experience that. And at the same time, in the midst of all of that activity, we also still have our own sovereignty to be able to still make choices and feel our feelings and have certain actions. So what I mean by that is we have a choice of how we're going to use these energies. Because these
Or
energies,
ignore these energies.
yes, that's true. We can also do that. And that all goes back to the choice. Because even though we can be influenced by these energies, we have the choice of how much attention we want to pay to them, and how much we allow them to influence us. So it's really a balancing act, because in many ways we could choose to use these energies to our advantage. But usually in order to do so, we have to have that knowledge. So when we have the knowledge of what's going on astrologically and we decide how we're going to apply it to our lives, we can really, really, get a more full advantage from doing so.
So what is going on in the cosmos lately?
Well, for one thing, right now we are in Pisces season. And on top of that, we've got some double Pisces energy going on because we have a new moon in Pisces that we just entered into today. So this is perfect timing that we're all connecting and having this conversation. So it worked out really well. So Pisces energy, astrologically, it is the last zodiac sign. When we think of all the zodiac signs, it's the last one, because soon we're going to be entering into an astrological new year,
which is Aries.
So yes, starting with Aries. Yes, so that'll be very soon, within the next 2 weeks or so. So astrologically, we follow a different calendar than how we usually celebrate New Year's, January 1st. Astrologically, we start with Aries season, which means that Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. And in being the last sign, we often think of Pisces as being the most wise of the zodiac signs. There is a cute little analogy to say that Pisces is the cosmic dustpan of the zodiac, and what that means is that Pisces has collected all of the sparkles, all of the experiences of the 11 signs before, and they've all come together, and Pisces is able to literally collect all of that and to use its wisdom and to obtain more wisdom and understanding from the experiences and lessons from before. So needless to say, yes.
So if you're putting together a quilt, or you're creating a mosaic, or you're putting together a stained glass window, like Pisces is the thing that puts all of the experiences together to allow you to see the beauty of the cosmological year before.
Yes, yes, that was so beautiful. Yes, Pisces is allowing us to see all of those lessons and experiences. And then on top of that, Pisces is creating its own understanding from those lessons and experiences. So Pisces energy is real when it's an evolved energy, it's very wise, extremely empathetic as well. Pisces is ruled by the fish, and the fish has a soft underbelly. So there's a sense of exposure, there's a sense of vulnerability. Pisces is a water sign, which is known for, water signs are known for their intuition and their empathy and feeling things deeply. However, unlike Pisces siblings, Scorpio and Cancer, Pisces doesn't have any hard shell. The fish is soft. So what that means is that Pisces is very vulnerable, can feel at times very vulnerable to the suffering of the world. However, evolved Pisces has the wisdom and knowledge to help that energy to cope, and not just to cope, but also to rise above that suffering and to be of aid to others rather than allowing that to consume them.
So can we break that down just a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love the idea that the fish is vulnerable from all sides, right? You say the crab and the scorpion, they have their protective layer. So sometimes, because we're emotional beings, we bleed when the world bleeds, right? We get upset about all of the things that are coming at us, and we start to move into helpless mode instead of having the awareness about all of the things that are going on around us, and then making choices to make our own world or our own community, or like it's baby steps, right? If everyone takes a step in the right direction, then the whole world feels the uplift. So to use your emotions to not get stuck in sadness or pity, or feeling helpless, but to use your emotions to create fuel, and to understand that the bigger picture is always resolved by resolving your own. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to.
Yes, that's so perfectly said. What we heal and help within ourselves benefits all those around us. So in many ways, we are our own microcosm, and we are connected to all that is. So although from one perspective, at times people might think, oh no, that's selfish of me to take care of myself in that way, or I should be doing this instead. It really goes back to the idea that if we're not preserving and maintaining our energy levels, we're going to be depleted. We're not going to be able to really be of assistance or service to others when we're depleted. And then we're going to really,
we're going to join the masses who need rescuing. And it's not about rescuing anyone. It's about, you want to heal the world. It starts with healing yourself. And when you heal yourself, you set the example for all of those who can do the same.
Exactly. And also, when you are feeling more aligned and secure within yourself, most likely you're going to receive aligned ideas about how to assist others. Because sometimes when we're feeling more so on survival mode, or we're feeling insecure, or just not not stable within ourselves, like our nervous systems are really being overworked, whatever the case may be, however it's labeled, when we're feeling that way, that spectrum, we're probably not going to receive the most aligned ideas about how to help ourselves or how to help others. And then that can create more issues because we start to think in the way that, oh, I should do this. Like it makes sense that I should be doing this, but that might not be the best idea. However, if we are taking those steps that we need to make sure that we are nourished, even if it's just a little bit more nourished, we're not striving for perfection. We're just striving to feel better than before. When we do that, we start to realize that there's going to be more clarity because we're not going to feel as chaotic.
And
And
you
with that,
say that it's a very powerful time. Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to, before I lose it, you say it's a very powerful time for evolved Pisces. And the evolution comes from the self-care and the healing, right? So we can tap into the power of the cosmos when we are open like an antenna.
yes, and
Open.
we get open through that self-care. We
Yes.
get open through nourishing ourselves. And and I think it's also there's a balance to it, because I think on one hand, and I know I've done this before many times, and at times I still do, where we kind of might put other things on pause because we feel like we have to continuously improve ourselves or work on ourselves or heal something about ourselves. And it's important that we're not necessarily doing that, but rather we're just seeing how we feel. So if that means that we need a little extra rest, or if that means that we need to take a walk, or that we need to read, whatever it is that will help us to feel better, when we take those steps, clarity does not have to take months or years or even weeks. It could come within a matter of minutes of helping our nervous system.
So being the new moon, does the Pisces season always end around almost the springtime? Is this how it will line up?
Yes, so Pisces season, yes, we have about 2 more weeks of Pisces season, and right as springtime is starting, that's when Aries season will start, and we will start a brand new astrological new year. So technically, we're still in the old old new year, like even though an old year, even though it's 2024 by the calendar, astrologically, we're still in the same cycle. So we're moving into a new cycle in just about 2 weeks.
Well, I love the fact that there's a new moon, right? There's the planting of the seed, the
Yeah.
planting of kind of, a lot of us probably are feeling this settling or sleeping in today. The time went back or forward, wherever it is. And you're feeling like, I'm looking at one clock and you're looking at this other clock and you're trying to figure out what world are you in.
Yes.
And this spring, like this newness, this rebirth. I mean, I'm listening to the having your shell, right? Not having the cancers, protecting yourself, but almost feeling so exposed to this energy of the new moon.
Yes. So right now we have a new moon, and that's going to last for about 2.5 days. And then before we know it, and honestly, in a matter of days, we're going to be stepping into that new year. And this new moon being in Pisces, we're getting double Piscean energy and double of the Piscean teachings, and it's happening at the same time. So we want to think about ways that we can, not only just nourishing others, but also nourishing ourselves as well. And this new moon in particular also highlights some activity having to do with health. So this is reminding us now to check in with ourselves about how we're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, our spiritual health, whatever health may mean for you. In particular, we are thinking about the physical body, that is a main focus now. But this new moon is reminding us, like, is there something I need to do to feel better physically? And, in doing so, usually emotionally and mentally as well. This new moon also being Pisces, Pisces rules the arts. Pisces is one of the most creative energies. Pisces is an artist in so many ways. And we know that art takes so many forms. So this is also encouraging us, on one hand, to use our intuition and our logic to tend to our health, and at the same time to also explore our creativity. is there something we've been wanting to do, but maybe we've been holding back that would help to activate that creative energy a little bit more? Maybe there's something we want to paint or write or create out of clay, or, even like a podcast. That's a form of creative energy. It's an art form in its own right. So what are some ways that we can activate that maybe we were hiding before? Maybe we were a little shy or resistant, or maybe we just didn't give ourselves the time. So this Piscean new moon is telling us, like, enjoy your creativity. This is a gift that you have. You have the ability to do so. And I'd
So,
also, yes.
well, so March 21st, right? Spring equinox, spring, whatever they call it, spring, March 21st. Aries comes in March 21st. So we're kicking off a new year.
Yes.
How do we know what's in store for this year? Like, how do you know, Chrysanthe, or maybe you don't, right? Do you know, based on planetary alignment, like what the next, in 2 weeks, what the next 12-month kind of general look for is? Because I'll be curious about that.
So, so for me personally, and I think, it definitely depends on the astrologer and the type of astrology they do and what they focus on. For me personally, I like to see more the near future rather than the whole scope of the year. But that's just my style and my flavor. So we do have an eclipse that's coming up, and that's going to be really profound, and monumental, and maybe in some ways intense as well. But more so
I'm in the path of total.
of,
I'm in the path of total eclipse.
oh,
So
okay.
I will be in the path, there's this little
Oh, you're
band.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, we're in 3
That's a
different
lot.
parts here of the, of the country. So I
Okay.
will have the opportunity to be in the band that experiences total eclipse for 2 minutes and 30 some seconds.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's good. That's going to be really profound and important. Wow. That's really cool. Um, but more so, to answer your question, for me, what I like to look at is, I like to look at more so the moon phases, and what time are we in. So if we're in Aries season, I like to decode that and look at the themes. I like to make it simple. The themes that Aries season brings, considering what moon sign we're in, considering what, are there any retrogrades that are happening during that time. And this may be a bit more poetic and not as concrete to answer your question, but this new year, and I know this is cliche, but this new year is literally going to be, for the most part, how we decide for it to be. And if we use the energies, should we, choose to learn about it, if we choose to learn about those energies and utilize it in a way that's for our advantage, then most likely it's going to feel like a pretty good year then.
So you're
Um,
saying use the mindfulness practice of starting to put your belief system in place about what it is that you would like to create and manifest over the next 12 months, and then start to look at the energy of the cosmos as it relates to your own beliefs about how powerful you are and how successful you can be and how important you are, and start to use that to mold it.
yes, exactly. Because literally everything is based on our perspective, right? So, for example, I just gave like a brief explanation about Pisces new moon. I could have seen it on the flip side, and I could have seen it as though, oh, we're going to be really, and this doesn't have to be something negative, but we are going to be really emotional during this time. We might be in tears. We might be struggling a lot because the fish has a soft underbelly, and we're going to feel this intensity of emotions. We might need to stay in bed. Like, I could have framed it in that way. And technically, I am using like truthful aspects of Piscean energy. Pisces does feel things deeply. There might be sometimes that Pisces energy, we need to recharge by staying indoors. There's nothing wrong with that. However, it's a matter of perspective. So if I had painted it in that way, it would have been a little bit more, just creating more fearfulness perhaps, and maybe some resistance. And it might not be as authentic when we choose to see things from a more optimistic lens, and instead seeing it as though, ooh, these are the energies that I'm presented with. What can I do with these energies?
Yes.
And even and it doesn't even have to be, we don't have to conquer anything. We don't have to build an empire with those energies. We could if we want, but it could even be, I'm giving myself permission to rest with these energies.
Yes, or
And,
cry,
and
or
cry or
put
cry.
the covers over my head. Yeah.
Exactly. Rather than seeing it in a more negative way, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna like really be suffering during this time. Like, no, I'm giving myself permission to rest and, like you said, just to be. So everything is a matter of how we're framing it. Everything is a matter of our perspective. So the reason I bring that up is because as we're moving, into this new astrological new year, it really is going to be the way that we make it. We could look at this upcoming eclipse and be totally overwhelmed by the energy and think like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen from that? Or we could choose to see it in an exciting way. And we could choose to say like, wow, it's going to be a really profound time, and I know it's only going to be of benefit to me one way or another. So let's see how this goes.
Right.
So it's all a matter of reframing our thoughts and choosing a perspective that highlights what we can gain from something, like how it can be of our benefit, rather than seeing it in a more negative way.
So it's written right on my board. And I say it, and if you're listening and you've listened before, you've heard it before. Are you excited for the opportunity or fearful of the experience, right? You have a
Yeah.
choice. You have a choice to see it either way, because the experience isn't labeled exciting or scary. You label the experience exciting or scary. So how you choose to use the energy is amazing. You have free will, autonomy, decision making. You're getting a little bit of insight from the creative energy of the universe, the unseen forces of the universe. Will you channel them for good and allow them to propel you forward? Or will you, I want to say resist, but that's not the word. Will you block them to stay where you are? And there's no right or wrong answer, because sometimes we do have to stay where we are until we're ready to move. But just be aware that the energy is unseen and it's outside of you, and it is having an exchange with your energy field, and you get to decide whether you push it out or allow it in. So are we hugging it, or are we, putting up the wall? And whatever's best for you.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it.
We can
So
think about, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The one last thing I was going to say about that is we can think about it as though with our sovereignty, we also have a whole celestial team that is within us and then being activated at, certain parts of the year. And we can combine the two, our own personal decision making and choices, with that profound energy. And I mean, that just sounds like magic to me.
Yeah, and somewhere in the middle, our guides fall, you know what I mean? So we have guides, we have the internal knowing system, the guidance system on the inside, we have guides unseen on the outside, invisible supports, so to speak.
Yes.
So it's all right there. Ooh, Amaryllis.
I'm loving it.
So I think that Chrysanthe has to come on monthly.
Oh, I would love to. I would love
Yes,
to.
I think we need to figure that out, like what the rotation is, but because short-term forecasts are important.
Yes. Yes. And I think also it organizes, or it's a bit more easier to organize in our mind.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at everything that's ahead of us can feel really daunting, and we're only gonna like really be able to take in what we're ready for in that moment. But if we have it in bite-sized pieces, we're looking at like the month ahead or that week, whatever it may be, we're probably going to absorb more information that way, and it doesn't feel as overwhelming.
Right. So we have, so this is our, this is our mid Pisces season, and then we will get together and get you a release on Aries season,
Mhm.
and then, we'll keep moving Taurus. We'll keep moving. I
Yes,
love
that sounds
it.
perfect. I love that too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Amaryllis, I know you have something.
I'm loving the energy because I just had a conversation with a very close friend of mine today about the fact of loving and allowing ourselves to just be still. Everything you just said. So I can't wait to. It just was like, oh my God, that was our conversation today.
Oh,
And it is
Yeah.
because feel like we always have to be creating or doing something. And Chrysanthe, that beautiful message that you told our audience of the artist, like trying to find that hobby or that piece of either planting or gardening, going for a walk. What are you going to do now that spring is bringing you forward and is giving you more light and there is more energy? So for our audience, the tools of, even though there's all this energy that is coming in, sometimes it feels like it's a lot and you're feeling like, I don't know which way to go because I really want to stay in bed. And that is the beauty of the allowing ourselves, so that in the stillness and in the silence we can hear and guide ourselves to the next step.
That's
So thank you so
beautiful.
much, Chrysanthe. We've been doing our TikToks and it's following this energy. We don't know where it's going, or it's just, it feels right. It feels like we want to give a little piece of giving everyone, because I love
tools.
following the moon, the tools.
It's
I love
tools.
that.
It's tools. And we don't know what we don't know until someone exposes us to it. And then there's a whole wealth of information that follows that. So we love the astrological tools, the opportunity to see things that are virtually unseen. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much,
Chrysanthe.
ladies.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.